Okay, here are the notes for this next lesson. And you're going to be finding for circles the circumference of a circle. So I know I didn't provide this worksheet, so just pause it. You can copy the title, Circumference of a Circle. Okay, and then it says, you can copy the direction, find the circumference of each circle. And then you're going to be using the calculator's value of pi. So you're going to need a calculator for pi for this pi value. A lot of people, they know that pi is 3.14, but it's actually more. There's other numbers, so that's why it's saying to use what the calculator says that pi is, right? If I show you the what it shows here in the calculator, pi is actually, let's see, got to turn it on first, right? Here's pi right there. And if I hit it and I hit enter, see, it's not just 3.14, it's 3.14, and there's a lot of more numbers after it. Okay, so pause it. These are the notes. And when you're ready, continue. Okay, so here's the formula for the circumference of a circle. The circumference, just write it somewhere on your paper. Circumference is equal to the number 2 times pi, right? They're going to be right next to each other, times the radius. You know what, let me put everything in parentheses because everything's multiplication. 2 times the value of pi times the radius. The radius is only from the center to the edge, not the diameter. See, if they give you the diameter like this one over here, don't use that number 10. You got to just get the radius. Make sure they're giving you the radius and they're not giving you the diameter. If they give you the diameter, well, I hope you know that it's just half, right? It's just half. So let's see, for example, if you have a circle here and the diameter is, if the diameter is 8, that means that the whole thing is 8, but the radius would be what? 4 and 4, or just 4. The radius would be 4. Okay, so we don't want to write this whole circumference is equal to 2 pi times radius. So mathematicians, we kind of shorthand everything. So instead of writing the whole word circumference, we're just going to write C for circumference. Circumference is equal, and here's the formula you're going to use. Circumference, C is for circumference, is equal to 2 times pi. And for radius, we're just going to put the letter R. This is the formula that you'll see. This is the formula we're going to use. C is equal to 2 times pi times R. Circumference is 2 times pi times the radius of the circle. That's all you got to do. There's another way to do it, but I'm just going to stick to this way. All right, so really, you don't need to... The only thing you really need from the circle is its radius. That's the only information you need. After that, we just put it here in this formula and you just do everything else in the calculator, right? So here we go. Copy this first one, right? You can pause it at any time. Just make sure that you know what the radius is. Is this a radius or is this a diameter? That's a radius. So that's the radius is 3. We're just going to go with 3, right? We'll just look at the number. Make sure it's a radius, only half of it, not the whole thing. All right, so here it is. The formula is C is equal to 2 times pi times R. And that's it. That's all you got to do. So that's going to be 2 times pi times, well, here the radius is R, which is 3. And when you multiply the numbers, you'll get 2 times 3 is 6. And then the pi, sometimes you'll see it like this, where they just leave the answer like this with the pi on it. But see, here's where you have to actually now multiply 6 times pi on the calculator. So just do 6 and then push pi and then hit equals, right? Enters, equals 18.849. And just round this off, make this look like money. So $18.84, or maybe that 9 can bump up this 4, right? It rounds it up. So we'll put 18.85. 18.85. We'll just leave it like that. Now, this worksheet says to round off to the nearest 10th. So the 10th place is actually this one. And that 5 will actually round this up to maybe 18.9. But see, I'm not going to worry about all that. If I see your work and if it's close enough, you're going to get it right, okay? So don't worry if it's off like by just like a 10th or by one number or something like that. I got to check your work anyways. But that's it. It's a very simple formula. The only thing you need to know is the radius and, well, the formula, right? Okay, let's go to number 2. Pause it here, copy it. Is this a radius or is this a diameter? This is a radius. Just half of it, right? So that is the number I want. The number is 10.7. That's what it says for radius. And the formula is what again? That's what the radius says here. So the formula is C is equal to 2 times pi times that radius. So that's going to be 2 times pi times this 10.7. And again, let's just multiply these numbers first. Leave the pi out in the back here. What's the 2 times 10.7? I don't know. 2 times 10.7 is equal to 21.4. You might see the answer if they don't multiply the pi, they would be 21.4 pi, right? Because 10.7 times 2 is 21.4 without multiplying the pi. But we are going to multiply the pi, right? Multiplying the pi for circumference, you're going to get 21.4 times pi, right? 21.4 pi, hit equals 67.23. Guess what? I forgot to explain something. What is circumference? Circumference is this. What you're actually finding here is you see this circumference is the measure of this line that right now is in the shape of a circle, right? You see this, just the outside line. But if I were to straighten that line out, if I were to, if it was a string and I would cut it and I would just lay it straight like this, you think that's enough? If this circle, if it was a string and I were to make it straight and I measure it, that's how much it would measure. Well, for this is kilometers, this would be 18.85 kilometers. Same thing over here. What does this number mean? Well, if there was a circle with a radius of 10.7 whatever miles or whatever, but I'm looking at this whole distance around, right? Now this is a big circle, right? If the radius is 10.7 miles, oh my God, that's like a whole city, right? But that's a radius. But if I get that circle and I straighten it out into a straight line, this is what that number means. How long that actually is if it was a straight line. All right. So in this case, it would be 67.23, and then what is that? Miles. Okay, miles. But the formula is pretty easy, right? Okay, let's see number 3. Watch out here. Is this a radius when they put a 10 like that? No, 10 is the whole thing. That's not the radius. You better not use that as the radius. If that's 10, well, this has to be what? 5 and 5, right? The radius is what? 5. Don't use the diameter. Don't use 10. Watch out. Watch out, watch out. Other than that, you're good. Circumference is equal to 2 times pi times r. That's going to be 2 times pi times r, which is 5. You could put 5m for meters, or just put the 5. We're just going to multiply the numbers. So that's going to give me what? 2 times 5 is 10. It's going to give you 10 pi. But they actually want you to use this pi value on the calculator, so we have to multiply it out. 10 times pi. 10 pi equals 31.41. But see, that 5 kind of bumps this 41 into a 42. We'll put 31.42. That's okay. If you put 41 or if you put 42, it's okay. I'm still going to mark it right. I'm going to check your work anyways. Okay. And then on this one, number 4, they didn't draw a circle for you. You kind of don't need it. You can draw one if you'd like. A circle with a radius 4 would look like maybe like this, right? You can draw it if you want. But honestly, isn't that the only piece of information you need? I can just plug this into the formula, right? R is 4. It's telling me that the radius is 4. So just C is equal to, circumference is equal to 2 times pi times the value of the radius, which is going to be 2 times pi times, well, in this case 4, right? Well, that's going to give you, C is equal to 2 times 4 is 8. It's going to give you 8 pi. Sometimes they'll leave the answer like this, but for this assignment, they want you to multiply this in. So that'll be C is equal to 8 pi. Well, let's see. 8 pi equals 25.13, $25.13. So just leave it at 25.13. Okay, last one. Oops. This one says diameter. You better not use diameter, right? Diameter is the whole, right? If you draw a circle, the diameter is the whole thing going across. I don't want the whole thing going across. So if the diameter is 22.8, what is half of it? How do I do that? Well, I'll divide it by 2, right? Whatever the diameter is, you just divide it by 2 to get the equal half, right? 22.8, and then just divide it by 2, right? 11.4. Does that make sense? 11.4 and 11.4. Yeah, 4 plus 4 is 8. 11 plus 11 is 22. Yep. That's the radius. You got to use the radius measure, not the diameter measure. The radius is 11.4. That's the one you're going to use. All right, so circumference, here's the formula, right? Circumference is equal to 2 times pi times this value for the radius. That's going to be 2 times pi times 11.4. Wow. Circumference is going to be, well, when you multiply 11.4 times 2, it happens to be 22.8. But don't forget, it has the pi on there now, so it's going to change that number. You got to do 22.8 times pi. Let's see, that is 22.8 pi. 71.62, but look at that 8. That 8 can round this off, so that's going to be 71.63. And that is it. That is a simple formula. You only need to know the radius. Make sure you use the radius. 2 times pi times the radius. Okay, that's it. Easy one.